This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. We've got two committees, representatives of the Cultural District Committee here with us today. So we're going to go around and just introduce ourselves quickly so everybody knows who everybody is. Peter, you want to start?
My name is Peter Fillet.
I'm Tracy Elleram, Chair.
Ted Perch.
Pasqualina Azzarello.
Steve Colacelli.
Allison Manuel, Director. Carol Ostberg. Beth McElhenney.
Great.
And
Miriam, thank you for joining us today.
Am I gigantic on this screen? Nice to see everybody.
I shrunk you down a little.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, it's translated.
All right. So we're going to just dive right in. I was a little remiss on getting the January minutes written out. So I will get those for next month and we will vote on them next month. We'll just bypass that. Does anybody have any public speak? All right, let's go into the updates. We're gonna go quickly through the first half of the agenda so we can get to our discussions, just so that we don't have to backtrack. So
Great.
all right.
So since our last meeting, we completed the ECA gallery application review. We had 70 applications from throughout local towns as well as the greater region. Tracy and Maud and I met. We had a really fantastic review and we selected all of the artists through March of 2027, including putting together a show of 3 of the artists who applied in a group show together. Their work was correlated in interesting ways, kind of looking at the theme of enchantment, but it was another very successful review. All of the artists who were selected were notified, and then all of the other artists have since been notified as well. So we are in good shape heading into the year. Art Walk is this coming Saturday from 4 till 7. Trace Meek will be showing at the ECA gallery and his show looks gorgeous. And yeah, encourage everyone to come out.
Great. Awesome. Public art.
Yeah, so a couple things with public art to follow up on our earlier conversations about the utility boxes. I have since met with Amy Johnquest and she has agreed to refurbishing the Power to the People one for $1,000. That will happen in the spring we're looking at. We are coordinating with the Easthampton Cultural Council for the 2 she'll be doing for them, but she's really excited to be working on this project. I attended the last Easthampton Cultural Council meeting where she attended, and we will all be talking about, once they're all done, we'll talk about putting together a community celebration for them, maybe a walk.
Great.
Oh, and another public art update. So the ECA Public Art Committee has been working on developing an idea for a new public sculpture that will have mosaic elements to it. And I'm putting together the request for proposals. We'll be going through it at our meeting this Wednesday, but the location will be on Union Street. many of you might remember, a couple of you might remember way back when, where we had originally planned on doing a Gateway to the Mills project on Union Street, but then decided to hold off because of all the construction that was going to be going on around the Manhattan Rail Trail and on Union Street. And so we did it on the Ferry Street side. And now we're and then we advocated for a concrete footpad to be put as part of the Union Street redevelopment at that location. And now we will be filling the spot. The current timeline we're looking at is applying in spring, like announcing it soon, applying in spring, and then installing. I think the committee wanted to August, and I'm going to advocate for September, but that's what we're looking at. There's also talk about the possibility of a public art festival that would be downtown wide in 2027. So we'll also be talking about that and maybe looking at possibly coordinating everything together or possibly keeping them as separate entities, but very active public art right now.
Great, awesome. And you want to give us an update on the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, I will just say I had a meeting with the director today. I attended my first board meeting since I saw you all. That was great. It was actually really nice. The meeting was in an annex of Easthampton Savings Bank, and I walked in and they had all these large, like printed photos of like all of our public art. It was like very unexpected. I didn't know that. But it was a great meeting, really positive. I'm really glad to be a part of that conversation. And I met with the director, John, this afternoon, and they want to become a new space to show art. And we talked about different options for how to install work. So he's going to buy all the railings, which I think will be best for that space.
You're talking about the hub.
The hub, sorry, yeah, the
Work
hub. And they want to do quarterly shows. I will help put a call together for them and be on a review committee. I might reach out to some of you if you're interested in joining me on that review committee, but they just really want to be more involved in supporting artists, which I think is really great. And they had some other ideas for the future, but we said, let's just start with like one new thing at a time.
Great.
They had a gallery there years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, it was the best they could fit in, but it was right there. I mean,
Yeah, they want to participate in Art Walk in July is the goal. And I thought I'll check in with Small Oven and the Council on Aging and see if more Union Street businesses might want to do something, or venues might want to do something, even on a quarterly basis. It could be a nice addition. And Shelburne Falls, that's right.
Great, awesome. Anybody have anything else to add to any of that? Okay. Let's just go right into the Cultural Council.
So to piggyback on Pasadena, what you had mentioned, we met last month. No, it's February already. And we met with Amy Johnquist, who we used funds from last year's distribution from the Mass Cultural Council to, we had a bucket of money, $4,000, to do some public art. So we are contracting with her to do 2 more public utility box designs. And she showed us those designs. One is going to go right out here, and the other is going to go at Union and Cottage Street, or Union and Main Street. And if you go on our Facebook page, you can see those designs because I posted that. And then we finished our review of all of our applications this year for the block grant that we get from MCC. So we had 78 different applications, which is a record. And of those, we decided to fund 33 different projects, which is again a record. We had $16,700 total to give out, which was not a record. It was actually slightly less than last year. So that was pretty difficult to square that and make that all work, but really happy with all these this new crop or new cohort of projects and different things that are happening. And that'll be what we'll be focusing on. We're going to be having a kind of reception for everybody in March, I think. And then just kind of like doing our best to make sure people go to these events.
Great. Awesome. All right. So let's just get right to it. We've got the MCC Cultural District Initiative discussion. And so you want to lead us into that and I guess the update regarding the requirements and all that's going on with that.
Yeah, so the ECA committee has we've been talking about this for a few months now, and all of us at the Cultural District Committee have also been talking about this. We were notified a couple months ago that there were changes being made to the Massachusetts Cultural Council guidelines for the Cultural District program. And I know some of you attended the meeting, the MCC meeting on January 20th, I think it was. But they have made several adjustments based on all the feedback that came in from the districts around the state. The guidelines are much more flexible. They have completely step back with requirements around zoning and mapping. They will offer some technical assistance for groups that do want to do those, to implement those changes, but they can happen in time. They also were very responsive to the idea of matching hours, of matching funds, and just, I think, really did kind of have a moment of reflection to say, wow, these guidelines were made without the input of the people doing the work. So they have made some alterations to their initial guideline. It's still a draft. They will be coming back and sharing a more finalized version of their program. I asked them during the meeting, they said that the funding model would remain the same, but the amount of funding that comes in that funding model won't be known until August. So just to remind everybody, we were funded the $15,000 for fiscal year 26 already. That has actually, the contract was just fully executed the other day. And so they do not yet know their timeline for when we will have to apply for redesignation. But my understanding is that we will be able to apply, we will be able to express our interest in reapplying for designation. And we would have 18 months to complete all of the new requirements that are much more reasonable. Like they really are. I think that that will be, so we don't have to make a decision tonight about whether or not I think we're not in a position, it would be premature to make a decision tonight about whether or not we will choose to reapply for designation. Because we don't know, we don't have the final outline of what the requirements will be. The other piece to that, during our meeting last month, the ECA meeting, the conversation came up in a small discussion about the possibility of expanding our cultural district if we were to reapply. And I think that that's absolutely a possibility, and we would want to have deeper conversations about that, what that would look like, what the impacts would be, what the footprint would be, you know, checking in with Cottage Street business owners about what that might do or feel like for them, checking in with other groups throughout the city about what is possible. These were explorations that actually first happened before COVID, like when we reapplied in 2018. So, but we would have time to do that. So I don't feel like we're in any rush. All in all, I felt very positive about the feedback from MCC and the fact that they step back a lot in terms of that.
Can you remind me, like, when we applied before, how many years does that go until we have to reapply again?
Yeah, so when they started the cultural district program, originally you had to reapply every 5 years. And so I began at ECA in 2016, and we had been a cultural district. We had reapplied in 2013. And then, so before me, and then I was part of the reapplication process in 2018. At that
Applied
time,
in 2013, didn't reapply. We applied. We formed in 2013.
okay, formed in 2013. Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was 2013 or the before then. And then I was part of the reapplication process in 2018. We added the Button building. But I remember there was a lot of talk about the possibility of like extending it down Union, up Main, and then across to Pleasant Street, the Mills.
Yeah.
And at that time, the requirements, MCC's requirements were such that there had to be a certain number of linear feet between each cultural benchmark. That could be public sculpture, public art, or a gallery, or a creative business. And at the time, there was not. Since 2018, when Michael Bobbitt was the director, you didn't have to reapply anymore. So it used to be like every 5 years you had to reapply. It also used to be that you only got funding at the time of reapplication. So there'd be 4 years in between, after you applied, that there'd be zero funding that would come with being a cultural district. That changed ever since we reapplied in 2018. There has been funding every year for all cultural districts, not just ours. And then it was taken away, like the end date was taken away, so we didn't have to reapply again in 2023. I think because of COVID, like they just changed a lot of things. COVID and the new leadership. And so this is kind of a new, you'd have to reapply because of the new requirements. And I'll let you two know, because I don't think we talked about this at our last meeting. I've learned that I hadn't looked at the existing requirements before these new ones came out, but they changed the linear feet piece to like how navigable. I was adding a syllable or
Navigatable.
two. Navigatable. Navigable.
But it's funny when it's
Said that word.
translating.
Oh, geez, I'm really glad.
Navigable.
And funny. So it also is like, I think that gives a lot more flexibility in terms of like what you could make a case for. So I think the idea of reapplying as a larger district is quite interesting and brings up some complex questions. So I think we would take the time to explore that more thoughtfully.
And did they give any indication how long you knew, like once you apply, how long it will last? Or did they say, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
In their edited document, they have scratched out during each 10-year designation period, but they removed that. So I don't know what.
Yeah. That's a piece, like if you were having to do it every year or 10 years makes sense. But anyway, that was just like
Yeah.
curious about that.
A lot changes in 10 years
Yeah.
though, so. Yeah,
Yeah.
who
Or at
knows
least
what
every
they'll
5 years,
replace
yeah.
it with. So yeah, so that's the update regarding the new requirements. And then also just the idea of cultural district designation. So I think we can continue to have these conversations as new information comes up.
One question I had from last time, and I made, we're talking about applying or not applying any longer. Well, is the city council or the mayor's office likely to say, oh yeah, don't reapply because we don't? Am I making myself clear?
Don't reapply because why?
Just because we choose not to.
Well, I think that if the requirements, if the new guidelines are reasonable, I don't know why we wouldn't apply. Because I think that there is value in being a state designated cultural district. It keeps us connected to, in a way, to all of the other cultural districts, especially if, well, not especially if, but like, and in addition, it sounds like there will be funding that will come with the designation. So I think we would want to continue. I think the way that the guidelines were presented before, it was really a question of like, do we even have the capacity to like keep up with this?
Right, I
But
think
if-
that was the distinction is like if these requirements were so long and not worth it, then it wouldn't make sense for
But who
us.
decides whether it's worth it or not? If the city council or the city says it's worth it and we want to,
Well, I think we're here to talk about that.
yeah.
We as a committee decide, I believe, that's my understanding.
And the cultural
And the
district.
culture.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
I
this
don't
is
think
part
the
of a city
council
council
has
decision.
to-
I think it would have been if those funding, like matching funds requirement
Yeah.
was still part of it because, you know, it was 25% of a full-time position had to be paid by the
Well,
city.
true.
So, you know, through sort of like the budgetary process, they would inherently be involved. But yeah, I think they might have to adopt a resolution or something in support of this. So it will have some say, but I would expect them to support what the committees are recommending. I did find the recertification piece, at least this is what they have proposed right now, is that in lieu of a recertification or redesignation process, cultural districts will be assessed annually based on their annual report to ensure continued compliance with the program requirements.
That's
Okay.
different.
Yeah.
Did you have to submit an annual report before?
Yeah. Yeah, I still do. But it never with the sense that they could take away our designation.
Well, now that's.
Well, this is assessed. I mean, it leaves the door open for them to do what they want, but it doesn't say recertified or.
Well, it goes on to say, you know, that would give them the opportunity to identify if there's a need for any additional support. Failure to maintain compliance with the regulations will result in a 1-year probationary period to be followed by a formal assessment for compliance at the completion of that term. So basically, if you fall out of compliance, they still give you time to get everything back in order. Seems pretty cool.
My read on just what you said is that they wouldn't like disqualify us as long as we're meeting the criteria. They're not going to look at like the quality of things, just that we're hitting the.
Yeah, the
requirements.
baseline kind of, yeah.
So does that feel clear? I mean, it's still unfolding and I'll definitely keep everyone up to date as more information comes in, but it felt like a very positive recalibration and like a relief. That was very stressful.
I was on that call and what I was relieved about was that they aren't doing away with the cultural district initiative at all, and that there still would be funding. You know, whether or not you apply or not, and all that is another point. But the fact that they were, at one point, I think we were all questioning whether they were going to continue with the program. So at least the program is continuing. So I think that's great.
I do too.
All right. So that goes into kind of what we do with our cultural district, and what we have been doing. And do you want to give us the
You want to take one and
cultural
pass them?
chaos, as we all know, is a big piece of that budget.
So all of you have seen a version of this budget. And what I've done now is added the projections for this year, based on what we know to be true, based on, the updated costs involved, for running the event. I want to just really acknowledge Beth and Carol and thank you both just really explicitly for being here tonight. Juliet is another member who really just is all in with the planning of Cultural Chaos. I also have spoken with folks at Oxbow. I've also touched base with Hallie Phillips from Riverside, who've been just very committed committee members, to check in with them as well. But ECA, you know, we do the fundraising, we provide the vision and kind of overall guidance for the organization, but it's really the planning team that makes Cultural Chaos happen. And that is not lost on any of us. Beth owns Wonderland on the street. Juliet owns Valley Art Supplies on Cottage Street, and Carol is an artist who rents space in Eastworks and has really been instrumental, especially since COVID, in like helping to make it happen. And we've really seen Cultural Chaos grow quite a lot since it began 12 years ago. And we've also seen the costs grow tremendously as well. And, you know, we've been exploring, each committee independently of each other has been exploring, you know, looking at different ways of how to really achieve the goals of Cultural Chaos, which, you know, on the one hand is like to create a sense of belonging here in Easthampton, the whole community engagement piece. And then there's also really a local economy piece for like, how can we leverage arts and culture and utilize them as a platform to bring business to our truly beloved community of local businesses. And as the event has grown and as the costs continue to grow, we've all been talking about what balance looks like, what are other ways we could go about it. I just want to call attention to the difference on the budget of money that is going to anyone that's not an artist. You know, our public safety costs have grown tremendously, and the costs of the infrastructure involved when it comes to staging and portable restrooms, all of those costs continue to go up each year. So I know there's been some exploration about looking at shifting the direction to more kind of long-term investing in long-term, more integrated arts and cultural programming that might be a little more sustainable. But I just wanted to check in with people about how you're feeling, how we're feeling about the cultural district programming.
I mean, just to kind of back up, we have funding for this year.
Yes, so we received $15,000 from the Massachusetts Cultural Council for FY26. That that exists.
And that usually gets used for chaos.
And it, yeah, that
So
is.
I will say that up until about 2 years ago, we used to divvy that up. So we would put like 5,000 toward cultural chaos. We would do 5,000 for a public art piece. And then 5,000 toward like art walk and poetry programming. So it has fluctuated in terms of how much that goes into cultural chaos. But the last couple of years, as the costs have risen, 100% of that funding has gone to cultural chaos.
And I think that the question is starting to come up because of our uncertainty about what's happening with MCC. And so we're kind of, it's good that we're all gathering together so that we can, you know, just really continue the conversation and maybe make some decisions on how we want to play out cultural chaos. Do we want to continue it the way it is? Do we want to morph it into something else that can be like off-site so that we don't have to use maybe some of this infrastructure or some long-term ongoing programming to support the businesses? We don't want to pull anything out of the district. We want to just figure out how to make it work for everybody, and so that more of the funds go into artists, programming versus infrastructure.
As a point of information or question, can we spend this money outside of the district if like cultural chaos moved to Nonotuck Park?
It has to be in the.
It has to be in
Yeah.
the district, and and I think we would be very committed to keeping it in the district, which is officially starts at Porcello Butcheria and comes here to the corner and crosses the street to Riverside and the Button Building. But it can be used toward anything.
So can I
yeah.
talk about what you and I talked about? So, so I've been part of this almost from the beginning. I think the second year I was a participant in chaos. But we have a very strong merchants association now on Cottage Street that I started when I opened up Wonderland. And we do events a lot, like as a group on the streets to bring people in and create fun experiences for everybody.
Will you tell them about a couple of the events that you've done, just in case people don't know?
Well, we have, oh gosh,
You're amazing.
we've had a lot of what we call late night shopping events where everybody stays open till 8 o'clock. There's a theme for the evening. There's special things happening in each store. We've had passports where you get it stamped at each store and then you get entered into a drawing for a gift basket. We did a great one at Halloween where we did tarot cards, where people went around to each store and actually collected a tarot card that was designed for that store. And they collected them and they kept them and they got entered into the drawing. And usually, but with the weather and everything happening this month, we haven't planned it, but usually we would have a Galentine's event, but with everybody's kind of burnt out right now with snow. So we do not plan that this year. But we, and we also encourage everybody for Art Walk to be open and to be having things in their stores and things. And of course, during chaos, we get everybody involved in stuff. We've done cooperative advertising in the Gazette. In the holiday section, we'll be part of the gift guide. We've had full page ads in the Gazette. We, do things to promote Cottage Street as a group in ways that we wouldn't be able to do individually. I'm always about like everybody working together to bring business up for everybody, and we've gotten a lot of the new businesses that have opened up have joined immediately when they've opened, which is really nice. So what we were talking about was like, I would like to see like a cohesive, like a partnership happening with the Merchants Association and the Cultural District planning of events so that like we have more people involved We could all get creative and create really cool experiences. And instead of, chaos, even for me, chaos has become about food and alcohol to me. Like the only people making money during it are the restaurants and the bars. I, a few years ago, started doing cotton candy in front of the store so that we'd make money. But it gets so crowded, people aren't coming into the stores a lot anymore. We're not making money in our stores during chaos. So when we talked about the possibility of not having chaos anymore, I'm like, well, I would be totally open to working as a merchants association together to create smaller events, even if it's once a month or once every 2 months or something, that are really fun and cool and get people to the street, that are arts oriented or music oriented or whatever it is, and if we had some more funding that we could actually do more promotion, and because we're all little tiny businesses just trying to survive right now. COVID killed us. I mean, none of us have recovered. The stores like mine, we are literally just month to month trying to make our rent. So we're limited in how much we can spend to promote things and to put on events. And if the money that usually goes to chaos could be divvied out into smaller events, we could create really fun things happening, like the art floats idea, but partnering with the stores on, like, all those kinds of things could be really exciting. And so I'm just would like to just put that out there, that as a merchants association, we would be very positive and interested in collaborating with the cultural district committee. And a couple of us are on both, are already on, Juliet. And so that's just like I want to put out into the mix, that we would like to be active in whatever's happening. And it doesn't have to be chaos, because chaos is chaotic for the stores.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot. I used to do business during cultural chaos in my store. I made money. It doesn't happen anymore.
That's a good perspective,
Yeah.
right? So always thought that the businesses wanted chaos because, not
Brings
chaos, but
people.
cultural chaos, because it brings people in. But it's good to know that now it is. And I've been on, it's morphed into more of a street scene and less about driving business. So that's good to know.
I think it's an impactful point, if I could point out, that Pascalina has mentioned in our committee meeting several times, is that it's my understanding that it all originated to satisfy the festival aspect of the cultural district requirements. And we have Art Walk, and that meets the requirement.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
Lots of things
So,
meet the requirement. Like
right.
any community event would meet the requirement.
That was quite sobering to me.
So we had an idea for this past Christmas, but we shelved it because of legalities. But this is something that I want to really try to get going for this Christmas. And it has to do with Whoville. And we wanted to do holidays in Whoville on the street. And we wanted to do it big. And we wanted to make it an event where people come from all over the place to celebrate Dr. Seuss and his art, and Easthampton being Whoville. I sent messages and I called the Dr. Seuss Foundation in California to try to get approval to do it ahead of time, but we had a very small window, and I didn't hear back from them. I think that's something that we could get. It could be really fun to get artists in the city involved with it and create an amazing event at the holidays this next December, and do a holidays in Whoville event. We did, we had our Christmas. We do an illumination night. We do a holiday stroll, and I had one night where I had the Grinch here. And it's the same guy that does with the fire department on the pond, and people loved it. Literally, they're driving down the street, they're beeping at him, they're jumping in for selfies with them. People loved the whole connection with the Dr. Seuss. And I would love to see us celebrate that as a whole city legally, not at risk being sued by the foundation or anything, but get permission ahead of time. And I mean, that could be an amazing event for us to pull off if we worked all in tandem and did a really fun celebration of the fact that we are Louisville.
Yeah, sounds great. The only thing is we'd have to figure out, I mean, I think, again, you know, the infrastructure of that, like, how do we figure out, maybe, do we do it without closing the street, you know, and kind of,
Oh God, it'd be so
Yeah.
fun if the street was closed.
it would, you know.
Okay. It doesn't have to be. It would be so fun.
It would be fun, but.
As someone who once upon a time lived in Medford, Massachusetts, and tried and failed to get them to do something about the fact that Jingle Bells was written there, and to have Jingle Bell Days or something, I think this is a great idea. I also really love Jubilation, but it's always like, can't there be more to this?
Right, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
this could be like the cherry on top of a whole day.
Yeah, we had the theater, we had the high school drama club
Yeah.
was going to dress as Whovillians
Yeah.
and be on the street, you know, like, so it could be really, really fun.
Yeah.
I really want to see it happen.
So, are you talking about the bonfire at Acadia?
No.
Um,
Medford.
Oh, in
Yeah,
Med.
yeah.
The Jubilation.
At the
Yeah.
Millpond Park.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that Millside? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
because didn't they used to do something at Acadia, big bonfire?
Yeah, that's totally different.
That was a
That's-
different, that wasn't, oh, that was something
Totally
else.
different.
So look at Skinny Atlas, they do the Dickens days right after Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They don't shut down the street though. so.
Who does the one in the park behind Eastworks? Who does? or-
That's the Hoople.
That's the city.
Right.
That's
Oh,
the
that- the
fire
Mills-
department.
Hillside,
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, just to go back, I lived for a long time in Willimantic, Connecticut.
Oh, I have friends there.
And in Willimantic, they have third Thursdays from May to September. Every month, you have a cultural chaos. They block off Main Street. That happens every month. It's been doing it for 40 years. Most of the merchants lock their doors. They just don't bother because there's, like you say, there just isn't that. It's mostly food, music, and just basically socializing.
Yeah.
So, it didn't surprise me to hear that you're not doing business because you're not going to. Diversifying the whole celebration thing, that sounds very interesting. But I'm also sitting here thinking, you're saying you've been publicizing your events there. Where?
When we have our late night.
I've never heard of some of this stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, and I live just down the street here.
We do Instagram, Facebook, we do flyers everywhere. We haven't done like radio ads or anything because we don't have the kind of funding,
Oh, yeah.
you know, we'd love to be able to do stuff. I mean, if we had a little bit of funding, we could, you know, schedule out the whole year of events and
Yeah.
put them in magazines and put them in, you know, like we do. I used to be one of the people that ran open studios for Eastworks, and the whole schedule of different publications we'd put it into and stuff like that. We're not that organized because we don't have any money to
That's
spend.
fine.
But yeah, but a lot of it on Facebook,
Okay.
a lot of social media, basically social media and flyers. Yeah.
I mean, there is an aspect, you have followers for your stores, so it's almost like you're preaching to the choir.
Right.
You're telling the faithful about a special thing
Right.
versus a wider net.
And I'd
Yeah,
love it to
right.
be a wider net.
So I think
You know?
that kind of touches on the point of capacity.
Yeah.
You know, on your end and the amount of time it takes Pasqualino to put together Cultural Chaos with the help of all the volunteers and what could be done with that time if it wasn't spent on Cultural Chaos. And I you know, think that that's an important
But
point.
yeah, it could be reallocated to an event like what you're talking about, or ongoing. I know we started talking about maybe some music on the boardwalk to kind of drive, like, you know, so
I'd love
that,
to see strolling musicians in the evening when we have our late night events. We used to have, during our work, we used to have musicians in the stores and stuff. I don't know what happened to that, but, you know, like bringing that aspect back into it. I mean, there's so many different directions we could go, you know? And it's nice because there's a team to tap into that hasn't participated in the ECA events really, you know, because we're in our businesses. But we're all basically little tiny sole proprietorships, trying to like create things.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's nice that in some ways, you know, like a door could shut and a door open, you know, like it's kind of a timely.
Well, I think it's kind of relevant. I have to follow up, but I'm supposed to be meeting with John and the new president of the Chamber of Commerce about starting a like taste of Easthampton, which I think, to the point about cultural chaos being mainly about restaurants and bars, that event would be about restaurants and bars, and that would be interesting to take something away.
That would be good at the Mill Pond Park.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I love hearing all this, and it's interesting. I had this like kind of image of, you know, cultural chaos began, you know, we think about what the Easthampton, that cultural chaos began in, and all it's done, all the ways it has served our community and how our community has grown. And now there's all these organizations, there's all these events, there's all these possibilities. And as a municipal organization, like a public organization that is here to serve our public community, what that looks like has changed. And what meaningful support looks like is changing. And I am really glad that Allison brought up the point. I was also going to mention it about time. Like there's the dollars, there's also the time. I did my math wrong before our meeting the other day because I was thinking of time periods, not weeks. But like I spend more than 200 hours planning cultural chaos. And I know that our committee collectively also spends collectively more than 200 hours. Like we all know that if it rains, you know, there's a vulnerability to it. But I think it matters a lot because that would just be a huge loss, not only of the dollars that would all be paid.
That's our biggest fear.
But it's also a loss of the investment in our time. And I feel like there's something really powerful about the idea of shifting, like as we evolve as an organization, like what does it mean to serve and what could that look like? And collaborating. So like the Merchants Association, like didn't exist when Cultural Chaos got started. It has grown even in, you know, the last 3 years, like the amount of events and programs and like pulling in the high school, you know, I remember they were singing at the flower shop.
Ukeza Valley.
Ukeza Valley, thank you, sorry. Yeah, like there's just so much happening.
We've had caroling each winter, not this year, that didn't come together this year. I won't say why, but the previous few years, we've had a community caroling during one of our evening events for the street where everybody gathers at the pond from the whole community. It's not us doing it. You know, I just organize it and give them song sheets and they go up and down the street caroling and people love it, you know. I like the idea of bringing other aspects of the community into the events that we're doing, you know.
And it's more of like an integration. So you know, if we all had a conversation, like let's just like put all the business as usual aside and said, here's $15,000 and it can even be more. Like, how would we want to use it? What would we want to do? I think, you know, and like what I'm hearing and gleaning, you know, Mayor Derby had mentioned the idea of having music on the boardwalk, like, you know, whether it's weekly or every other week or however often, just on a Saturday afternoon, just like, you know, as part of the vibrant, vital, you know, cultural district. that when people came to shop, that was just happening. We could have buskers up the street. We could have some performance. We could, there are many possibilities. But I think this idea of, really, sitting down with the Merchants Association, putting a calendar of events together, what could support look like? Would you want music, this marketing, that's what this money could be used for. And then also thinking about, ways to support existing programming that doesn't have as much support as it could use. And also thinking about it's like this amazing opportunity to try new things. Like, what if we had music on the street, every other weekend from May through September, and paid artists generously to do that. Our boardwalk is set up for that already. And it feels just much less vulnerable. If it rains one Saturday, it's okay. We'll reschedule it. It's just, I just want to, it feels like a very significant shift in an orientation and how we think of ourselves and how we practice doing what we do.
So, go ahead.
I think one thing to keep in mind, though, when we're talking about these two things, if you're increasing the footprint, thinking about how you can serve a larger footprint and everything isn't just settled.
Well, that's a really good point. And that's a really, I am so glad you said that, because that would, if we were to do something like this, we could take the year to experiment and to learn and to see how it goes, and then revisit the conversation of, if we are going to be expanding the district, then how can we spread that out? But it would change the, it would increase the value of trying new things, because there'd be more incentive of reasons to learn from it, why we'd want to learn from it.
No, this is something I keep coming back to when we're talking about multiple kind of events, or there's resources here that are not being used at all, and it just, Maple Street School and the schools there are empty. They have gymnasiums. I don't understand why there's no effort made to kind of utilize those spaces, even on an occasional basis, for something like you're talking about. If you have a mini celebration down here that you need space for, well, Marigold you'd have to pay for if it was available. But
Marigold is now a member of the Merchants Association.
But there is this space right smack down here that is just sitting there.
But isn't that tied up in, isn't that
Oh, I'm sure it
supposed to
is.
become
Yeah,
affordable housing?
It's under, it's under, the equivalent of a purchase and sale
Yeah.
agreement with an affordable housing developer. Yeah.
We are using their parking now from
Yeah.
Cottage
Well,
Street,
that's
which is
wonderful.
really nice.
As someone who has to come down here, I come down here on Wednesdays sometimes at night. There's no place to park
I know.
anywhere. So
Yeah,
having
big
that parking
thing.
is just magnificent. You have
Yeah.
to walk a little, but that's all right. But I just keep thinking, here's these facilities that are just empty.
I feel like the pond should be activated more as well. I mean, I just made a little note because we have our illumination night where we put luminaries all up and down the street but why couldn't that be tied in with a fire festival on the pond and an arts fire festival on the pond?
Yeah.
Work with the
National Pond
the
Committee.
pond
yeah.
committee and ECA and artists and, the whole float thing. But I mean, we had, Juliet's part of it, the witches float during Halloween, where everybody put lights all over them and
That was great.
kayaked and floated. Were you on that?
I saw it. I had no idea it was happening. I
okay.
was walked by.
I
and saw
thought
all
you
these
said you were on
witches.
the pond.
No,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
was
it
witnessing it.
just got started and it's but I think if that became a bigger event and we really optimize that as well, it could be really fun because
I think that would be great.
I love that.
To really push that forward and
Yeah.
people could all come out dressed as, you
Yeah.
know. I think that's a great idea.
So one thing, sorry.
I just kind of want to pull it back a little bit. Let's see just what time we got. We still have some time, but we're talking about all these great ideas, which is wonderful. I want to come back to the cultural chaos a little bit here, because I think there's a decision to be made, and we can go off into these other realms, which I think it sounds like everybody is interested in, and I think this is most likely a way we will go. But we also have to make a decision on this year and cultural chaos and where we're going to land. Do you think this is a good time to kind of bring it back? Or I don't want to stop any ideas in the mix.
Because we kind of have to make that decision, because
We
this
do
is when we
have to
start really
plan.
planning.
Yeah.
And if we're not having the event, we can shift that focus to
Right.
learn, figuring out what else we want to do.
One thing I will say about cultural chaos, and I am all for, shifting things and growing, and because the numbers do speak for themselves. And but it is a event that we've had 11 years, 12 years, and people do love it. It is sort of kind of marks June, the first weekend or second weekend of
Beginning of
June.
summer.
Second Saturday.
Anyway, the community at large really loves this. How do we proceed? So there's, I've been thinking about it. I've been talking to Pascalina, and I'm like, do we have one last cultural chaos? Say it's our last cultural chaos, go out with a bang, do it one last time. We have the funds. We could just go, let's do it. This is, messaging. We are shifting gears after this. Or we can shift gears and just shift gears, but then we also have the messaging. And then the perceived community, and I won't say backlash, but feelings and what people say about it. So, I think we have to weigh those when we're thinking about
Well, you're not.
like stopping a program that we've had for a while.
And you want to have something to put in place.
And we want to have something put in place. So I think,
Yeah, I think
There
if we
is-
announce that we're not having it, we have to say what we're doing instead.
Yeah.
right, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And why?
And why.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But this is also the context, like Northampton just canceled their 4th of July fireworks. There's a lot of like events and festivals that are taking a year off. Boston Calling is taking a year off. So, I think in that context, people understand. We say things have gotten so expensive that we can't afford it.
And funding's been cut, and everybody knows what's been done to the arts in this
Yeah.
country, so.
And it doesn't have to be like we're never doing it again.
We're trying
Just
something else
we're
this
trying
year
something new.
and maybe we'll come back to it, but don't make it like we're definitely coming back to it.
And the branding, the calling some of the other events cultural chaos. Using the name in other ways.
On that-
Was
And
not-
that-
not my idea. I can't take
The
credit for
name
that.
was also like another.
Yes, I know. Yes, but that came up in conversation with Pascal, so can't take credit for that.
Or another angle that I've put out there is that you've created this brand. Is it time for someone else to take it over? Is it time for the chamber to take it over? Is there a restaurant association that's going to take it over? You've created a thing.
The chamber
It has
can't take it
value.
over. The
It
chamber
has
is one
value.
person.
To that point, another point I wanted to say is, in kind of like anticipating some reaction and like having a rationalization, if the cultural district committee doesn't really want to do it, then like they're the ones who are doing it. So I think it's just like someone else could step up and do it. But if no one really has the wherewithal, then that's why you shouldn't do it.
And honestly, all these years, it's been the core group of people We are not getting fresh people involved to help do it. We've never gotten a single restaurant involved to help with the planning or the bars or anybody like that. And,
Well, I don't tell you something.
yeah. Don't get me going.
They're willing to get the income, but they're not willing to.
But if you tell them you're shutting it down,
Yeah, well,
I mean, I
you
think-
might step
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
It's just a thought. I don't know anything about any of the players or anything, but it's just kind of supply and demand.
But if you're alternating in with a food and wine festival instead, that they still get their benefit from,
Yeah, and,
I think that's a good trade-off. I
and
mean,
you could
it's,
do
you know,
something like that, to your point, at Mill Pond or somewhere else where we don't have to close the street. We don't have to spend $7,000 on, you know,
they
safety.
also have both breweries down there.
Yeah.
so it's-
and have like, when,
Well, even on the boardwalk,
when they had the concerts,
a Mill Pond Live, yeah.
thank you. No, the Mill Pond Live concerts, which aren't happening anymore, which were fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, let's have a concert in this, you know, like put some time into doing another. Those were amazing. I
Yeah.
love those.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so sad that they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's an amazing space to activate and it doesn't require all these logistics.
Yeah.
You can have a big arts festival there. I mean, there's like so many things we could do with that park.
Yeah.
We've been
And
talking about that.
when I think about, I mean, ECA is in such a unique position because we are a municipal organization. So Easthampton can be programmed. Like, we have 2 parks with beautiful stages with,
There's a second one.
in Nonotuck. Yeah, I talked to the Parks and Rec
They
Department
used to host
today.
The Millside concert.
And Millside Park. So it's just like there's all of this public space that can be activated. I was talking to Russell and Elaine at Park Hill Orchard. We did a lot of programming there during COVID. And I was talking to them about like, what if we did an ECA fundraiser concert, you know, and they're like, the last 2 weeks of August are yours, you know, like, let us know. That's not public, but it's just space. And there are just so many different ways to do things. You know, cultural chaos, the estimations the last few years are 12,000 plus people. And if we had music on the boardwalks and we think about all of the people that you bring in through the Merchants Association's events, I think we would would have like a much bigger impact than 12,000 people. Yes, it's very different. It's not all at once, but
That makes it
I
more
think there
doable,
are pros
though.
and cons. It really
Handling that amount of
makes
people and
this
parking for that amount of
more
people, it's
reasonable.
gotten so
It
huge.
just makes it more reasonable for everybody, like for everybody involved. And so I guess one thing I want to say, it's been part of our conversations up until tonight, but I realized I didn't also just contextualize everything. It's a little late, but I think it's really important that this isn't just about an event. This is not just about an organization, and it's not just about MCC Cultural District programming, but funding for anything right now, and certainly arts and culture, is really up in the air and will continue to be as we look ahead. And so I guess I just want to say, maybe for the record, a lot of what has motivated me to look at these numbers and to really look at the reality of running one-off events that require so much lift and so much continuous effort is just that, is how sustainable will this continue to be? And are there things we can be doing now that are very strengthening for us as an organization, but more importantly for us as a community? And, you know, how to leverage the same funds with a much bigger impact in a much more sustainable way. So thank you. I just wanted to it felt important to note that.
So what steps do we need to take to make the final decision of whether we're doing chaos or not?
I mean, if we have something in place, I mean, it is that, you know, there was that trade-off. do we need to vote? Yes, we want to move into another direction and then come up with what that direction is? Or just kind of basically, I think we need to vote, should we have cultural chaos this year or not? And then,
Because once we have that decision, then we know, then we can make another plan before we announce anything and say, in lieu of, this is what we're going to be doing. But we have to decide whether we're doing it or not first.
right,
And I
It's
will
Jan- it's
just
February
say,
1st,
in this, like, there's been this sequence of like committee meetings and MCC meetings and mayoral meetings, and the next cultural district subcommittee meeting is on Wednesday, February 11th. And that could be a place, you know, I really want to continue to support and empower the committee to be thinking about what would be valuable for it, for some of
like
this
a
programming.
substitution.
As part of it, like, we can talk about that tonight, but then I'm just letting everybody know that that's the next opportunity that people will be together to really develop the ideas that, you know, it sounds like we might be.
I think what
coming up
I'm questioning is, do we as a whole committee need to make a decision?
Yes.
Or like
we're
how, logistically, how do we make the
Yes.
decision?
Yes, we're gonna have a vote on whether or not we should have cultural chaos this year. That's the first thing.
But I'm
Right,
saying because there's only a couple of us here from the cultural district committee. Do we as a committee, or should we as a committee vote and then bring that to you guys and like, or I'm just asking logistically how that works.
Well, we discussed it at the last cultural district meeting.
Okay.
And that information was brought here.
Okay, so we as a committee don't have to actually like vote on it. I'm saying,
No, your committee doesn't have to vote on it. You two are here representing your committee.
All right.
So,
Are you speaking for the committee when you say that? Like, does everyone on the committee kind of share?
that's what I'm asking.
So
That's exactly what I'm asking.
So I will share, and I've shared this with a few of you. So I had spoken since the last ECA meeting and the last cultural district meeting with Beth, with Carol, with Juliet, with Diane Travis from Oxbow, and with Hallie Phillips from Riverside. And each person has a very different experience with the committee and relationship with the committee and the work everyone is doing. And it was across the board that people expressed being open to moving in a new direction. More than I even anticipated. That was the temperature check. And I will just also say, we've been talking as a cultural district subcommittee about this for like the last 2 years. We've had a debrief, we debrief after every cultural chaos. We've revisited the conversation for the last few years of whether this is something we want to continue as it is. We've explored what it would be to make it smaller, what it would be to relocate the vendors. And we tried new things this year with where the vendors entered in, and we returned to the reality each time of the costs, the different kinds of costs of what's involved in running that event and the ways in which it's vulnerable. So I don't know if you have thoughts.
I'm just circling back to the logistical question of like, I think the ECA committee should vote tonight, and perhaps just in a show of solidarity if the cultural district committee wanted to vote on it as well. I think that makes sense. You're obviously a critical stakeholder in this, so I wouldn't want the cultural district committee to be excluded from the decision-making process.
And kind of on that point too, if we decide tonight to vote to move in a different direction, I'd like to see like plans or ideas for how the money's spent to come from your committee. Like, I'd like you guys to discuss that and then come here and say like, here's some ideas, rather than us saying to you, this is how you should spend the money.
I think you would have already spoken to this, but is there anybody whose voice or like a stakeholder or interested party that you haven't checked in with about this possibility? You would think has a right to, or at least to be heard. I mean, I know you've done a lot of work. I think you already would have said it, but I'm curious.
Yeah, I think that what's been, like, something that happens is we send emails to the entire cultural district. Like, everybody on the district gets emails each month that we are meeting.
You mean like
And
anyone who owns
then-
property?
Like
The
businesses.
business owners,
Yeah, business owners.
like not so much landlords, but more business owners.
Okay.
But the number of people who come to the meetings is a much smaller group.
Yeah.
And so the much smaller group is much more involved in all of it. And so, yes, there are businesses who've not been notified, but it felt important to have these conversations with the people who are putting in the work.
Are you speaking to the committee itself, or outside of the committee, are there voices that should be heard?
Yeah, like the circus school, the people who perform, or Hackworth, the people who perform. I know we're not obligated to give them spaces to perform. But as you know, it just speaks a little bit to what you were saying of like, are there good people who sort of count on it, and who are just going to be like, what do you mean? And I'm not saying we need to involve them in the process. I'm just curious. But my question was to you, because I'm not involved in the planning. If there's anyone on the committee you feel like, we've heard from the people we need to about this.
What I was talking about was more the community at large, or some of the people that have been coming, or people that have really, invested in the idea of having this event as community member. I don't know.
I think there's also, there's a procedural issue. I don't think we can vote on this tonight because it's not on the agenda.
Cultural district programming.
That's not the same thing as,
Yeah, it is.
Someone can make a motion.
I mean,
okay,
I think this is considered a.
That's what that refers
well,
to.
my memory may be awfully blurry. I'm not aware, sitting here, that we actually had a discussion last month about voting for the budget. It's been reviewing the finances, but I don't remember there being any question put out there saying, in February meeting, we're gonna vote on this.
I will just say that it was said, because I specifically said that this committee normally starts planning cultural
Right.
chaos at the January meeting. And we have to vote on this
Okay.
on Monday, February 2nd, because the next cultural district meeting is on Wednesday, February 3rd. And we have to know 11th. And we have to know what we're doing, because we're already behind in getting started planning. We are going to take the time to invest in these discussions, which feel very important and very timely. And yes, we'll have to know. So I do
Thanks for
specifically
clarifying.
remember
Okay.
saying that and the importance of that. And it's why I invited people to this meeting tonight, with that very specifically in mind. But I don't want there to be, I think it gets difficult in terms of, I
do feel like we can, in other events that we create, we can integrate in, like the circus school, into other events that we plan instead. If there's an event at the Mill Pond Park, they can be performing on the grass. Like, if
I mean,
Hey.
don't the schools, like the circus school and all the artists involved in cultural chaos, they apply. So in any,
Well,
don't they
the
apply?
circus school doesn't really apply.
I
Do
mean,
they apply?
there's,
I thought
some of it
everybody
is
has been part
like
of it for the whole
applied, some
time.
of it is curated.
Right. It's
But
curated.
I think
yeah.
that because just I feel because ECA raises the money and because it is a program of ECA and is implemented by the cultural district committee, like, it's not just about how wonderful the event is. It's about the reality of this. And so I think making important decisions, like, this knowledge needs to be a part of that. It's not just like, do we want to do cultural chaos again? Like, do we like it? It's more like, what does it mean to be a responsible organization right now, given the current climate and the current reality and all of the changes taking place? And what could that look like? I think it is, I think the timing is not ideal. You know, the Massachusetts Cultural Council initially announced changes the week before Thanksgiving. We had our fundraiser like a week and a half later. And now the new updated changes came on January 20th, which is like right in the middle of when we would have already begun planning cultural chaos. So I think that there's a sense of urgency that I wish was not part of this in terms of this year's planning. Like, I think that, like, I agree that ideally there would be more time and more like discussion about, well, what would the events look like that we would collaborate, you know, like having more tangibles and specifics.
So let's call.
And the idea though of, you know, continuing because of that also doesn't feel like, it feels like a tight squeeze either way, I guess.
Call the question. Let's have a vote. Someone should make a motion, which I'm not that great at. Language.
Are you guys using Robert's Rules of Order? Is that how you operate?
Say that again?
Do you use Robert's Rules of Order in your committee?
I'll make a motion that we decide to not do cultural chaos this year and to use this money for other things in the cultural district.
Second.
Okay, who's in favor?
Do you want to have discussion?
Say that again?
Motion second and then discussion.
Oh,
I think we are voting. She said, did you want us voting?
Sorry, we're not on
You're on the
the
committee.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, we are, we're not.
No, this
Okay.
one. Yeah, right?
yes.
Just want to know.
We have a plan. Any more discussion on this? So it's like, it's kind of a scary moment.
No one wants to do it, but I mean.
So I'll add to the discussion that, to clarify that in lieu of cultural chaos, we will explore alternative
Right.
programming in the
Thank you.
cultural district.
Yeah, much nicer, nice, much nicer said. Can't even say that.
For 1 year, I mean, but not indefinitely for this coming.
So I just have a question because you have a member that's on the screen. Does Miriam want to participate in this? No?
Miriam's not a
Miriam is-
member.
I
not a
don't
voting
Oh,
member.
okay. I thought she was on your committee. Zooming in. Sorry.
For trying to include me though.
So perhaps
Oh,
the
okay.
wording should be that we vote to suspend cultural chaos for at least 1 year while we explore more other diverse programs.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Well,
Thank
you know,
you,
I just,
Ted.
you know,
I like that.
Yeah.
So you second
I
it?
second that.
Okay, so all in
We
favor?
already
Did
had
you
a
need to
motion
write
and
this
a
down?
second, 'cause you can't.
Just true.
We have to
So,
vote on the first motion.
all right, we'll vote on the first motion and then
You can say as amended.
Yeah.
We already just-
let's clean it up and vote on the original motion, make a new one, and then take the vote, just for the records, that's all.
Okay.
So it's all straight. Okay.
And do you need to write down whatever the new, sorry.
So, it'll be good.
So do I have to restate or are we?
We
just
gotta
voting?
vote.
No,
We're
we're
just voting.
voting for what,
Okay.
for the first motion. All in favor of the first motion? Say aye.
Aye.
Well, then the first motion wins, which is fine.
I guess. I
I think the point was made,
Yeah, it was all in there.
point was made.
mean, I'm a little nervous about saying that, I will say, because.
Go where no one has gone before.
But
People.
I
Boldly
do,
go.
Take
but
the
I
plunge,
do
Tracy.
realize that, when you do look at the numbers and when we're talking about some of these really cool ideas that are coming into play, it doesn't mean we're taking something away. It feels like we're actually adding more.
Right.
And I think the mission of our organization is to help the arts. And I think we will help the arts more in this way versus just, to your point, the restaurants are benefiting for cultural chaos. And if we have artists, more arts programming benefits, like the district as a whole brings people down, and then they will shop, and then they will,
And they're
activate.
going to the restaurants and they're going to the bars.
they're-
Every time we
and-
have an event, those guys are all busy.
Right. And
Every evening
restaurants.
that we have an
yeah.
event, it benefits everybody
Right, exactly.
year
So
round.
I think this is good. Ultimately, it's just, change is always a little hard.
There's gonna
It's
be some
big.
blowback.
And there's gonna be people, and I kind of even know who they are, like,
The restaurants and the bars.
and not always.
Well, just
but
regular people in the
regular
community
people
that
in the
love to go to
community
it, you
That
know?
love cultural chaos. And,
It's a fun event. I wish I
For the-
wasn't working and I could just go play.
I love
did
it.
Saturday's busking one summer here, and people loved it. It was just a great place to eat ice cream,
Yeah,
and so because it just drew people in. So I do think that, that there's a great opportunity with a bunch of spaces and with artists and all different kinds of ways to just. I mean, the place is packed a lot of the time anyway. So if we can add the arts, I think it's great. You have a great audience there.
like there's music, like, Thursdays on, music on Strong Avenue, what is the?
Summer on Strong.
Summer is Strong.
Yeah.
We could do something on the boardwalk just like that, like a
Okay.
series of, during the summer, so.
So it sounds like, from what I'm understanding from tonight, that at our next cultural district meeting, we will, relay this, we'll take a temperature again, and we'll vote so that that has been done. And then if, I had mentioned it, Steve had mentioned it, but again, I think the arts and cultural programming can come from within the cultural district. And that does this committee feel good to say that at the February 11th cultural district meeting, that we can talk together about, what a vision for 2026 would look like. And then that can be part of our messaging to the community.
Sounds good to me.
And one example, we had those spot concerts here in the parking lot. during
Spot lot,
COVID.
yep.
They were pretty popular.
Yeah,
they were.
And there's a venue right there, good weather.
There's
all kinds
so
of
many
possibilities.
ideas that, yeah.
I think that once we have our February 11th meeting, that after that, we probably should have a meeting like with the Merchants Association and
Yes.
really just popcorn ideas and come up with different concepts that could either add on to or further develop what we've already been doing and then bring those forward.
Yeah. I love that. So, and something else that I guess I just want to call attention to, which I feel better about, is like this idea that we're gonna do something different this year. We're gonna try these new things. This is like an exploratory year. Feels good that we can then, debrief, we can reassess, we will learn what the future funding is from the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and then we can weigh all of it together as far as future programming beyond this year. That feels much better to me. So thank you all for kind of getting us there.
I think it's very positive, all in all.
You don't seem like it.
No, I do.
It's very
It's just like I say, it's
significant.
significant and it's changes.
I do think,
Anticipatory anxiety.
I do think just using the language of taking a year off is a good way to do it, because there will be backlash. There will be people who will be vocal that they want this. And if those people want it so much, then I think there are avenues like other people can step up, other people can raise money, or somehow, if it's truly beloved and people really want it to continue, then I think 2027, hopefully some other forces come along too.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
No, I like that too. And I do like that. Let's take the exploratory year. I think that is the messaging.
Mhm.
I think we came up with the messaging even before we realized we were coming up with the messaging.
We may
So-
find we miss it so much, we have to bring it back.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we really, absolutely, it's
You never
true.
know. I do like, I like the idea of collaborating with the Merchants Association on ideas, because I know this committee has ideas as well, and so the two committees working together, I think that's great. Yeah, I think it's great, all in all.
So,
Anything more? Does anybody have anything else to add or say, or?
I have a question about the timing of like any public announcements, because originally I was thinking that like, no matter what happened tonight is like tomorrow morning, I gotta like get to it, whether it's an announcement of a change or just people have been inquiring about cultural chaos this year and, when is the application going to go out? So I do feel, and this is a public meeting, people will know. And I have found that as an attempt to like clarify, and offer information, it can be good. I absolutely understand and, like the idea of waiting till February 11th for the, to follow this process as we've said. So yes, I guess I'm just aware that holding off on any clarifying information might create some more room
Until after the 11th.
until after the
Yeah, but-
11th.
Yeah,
So,
don't wait too long.
A quick question. What if on the 11th, your committee decides, oh, we really do want to, like, is that a possibility of like, would that change anything? I don't
I
know.
don't think so, because the conversation's already happened in
Yeah.
the committee.
Okay,
And we've all had the conversations.
okay. I just wanted to make sure
Right.
that,
I mean, it's not
the
like all of a
11th
sudden we're
is-
going to say, oh, no, well, we really, really want to do it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all kind of on the same page in the committee of like,
So I guess it's a question of, in terms of an announcement, like, does it feel important to formally vote as a cultural
I
district?
think we should, yes.
So
I
we
think
will
we should
wait,
have our
yes.
meeting on the 11th and then make the announcement
Okay.
afterwards.
Okay, I just wanted to like,
Because there's,
understand that.
the whole committee's not here right now. I think as a committee, we need to just,
And the emphasis should be on, this is an opportunity to explore more possibilities.
absolutely, yeah.
Yes, we're giving up this for a year, but it's an opportunity.
And frankly, I think it makes good sense to say that it's, we see an opportunity to better support art and artists in our community.
Yeah.
Because I think that would resonate with people, because cultural chaos is a thing, but I think if they saw it in terms of like our job is to support art and artists in our community, like Trace, like you were saying, we're just thinking we think with the resources we have, or we think that there's opportunities that we can unearth that are, bring the arts further to the forefront.
Or you could reimagine what a community-wide celebration like Cultural Chaos can evolve into.
Yeah.
So it sounds like if anybody's approached by a reporter, you've got.
I mean, I think that might,
To see,
to
make
speak
an omelet
to
without
that
breaking
point,
eggs.
we might need to, once the 11th, we might want to invite a
Yes.
reporter in and talk about
Absolutely. Yeah.
why and
Yeah.
Control the narrative.
Welcome the question. Be like, we're really glad that we have the opportunity to talk about this.
I mean,
Because we're excited about it.
just another example, but Florence Night Out was, I think, 28 years, and then they haven't done it in a few, but they're trying to put something back together called Flow Fest this year. But, it just didn't make sense anymore, and there was just not the will to do it. And I think now there's a new group that's like come along, and I think that could happen here. But
In our case, we have Porch Fest.
yep, absolutely.
That's growing.
And Easthampton coming soon.
Easthampton is at the,
Eating food, the taste
Food
of.
Fest.
Is that going to
Taste
happen
Fest.
this year? Is that the idea?
Probably not, but, well, my thinking was that it would be good to have in April, in part because Cultural Chaos is taking up like the summer, but maybe it happens in the summer.
Yeah.
And it feels like it should happen as feast with the whole like Christmas thing with the Hooverville thing.
I mean,
I'm really basically kidding, but feast. Roast
Is this your project? Are you producing this?
well, I own feasthampton.com. Yeah, kind of, but I've been talking to the cultural, not the Chamber of Commerce about working with them and some other restaurants that are members.
because he also has a food truck. He makes donuts.
Yes.
Do you know that he
Wake
baked the dead donuts?
Yeah, I get them all the time.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that.
No, but I'm just asking who, I just want to know whether are you the producer?
I'm trying to get the
producer, or are you
chamber to
getting
own it because I
Maybe
really
get it?
don't want to own Porch Fest and this, so. But I am like working with them on it.
John.
Yeah.
There's only one person. I've been talking to John about stuff too for the straight, so.
Well, I think hopefully you get some of the restaurants involved because that's kind of part of it, right? There should be a restaurant association that's,
Agreed.
but.
Do we have more agenda items, Andrew?
Pardon?
Do we have more agenda items?
One more.
One.
Yeah.
Well, the Easthampton Futures Project, do we have any?
No.
So the Easthampton Futures Project is always on our agenda because we have a live folder for any feedback on,
Right.
so that is, that's there. So just in
placeholder.
case, it's a placeholder in case we have feedback.
We've been talking about East Hampton Futures all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know,
There you
and actually I do, I refer to this, the goals and strategies, because everything we're talking about fits within them. Like, even more so.
go. Perfect. Any new business? All right, I think the meeting is adjourned.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.